Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So in this session, we look at the second phase of pre-Socratic thought, and specifically, we look at the ideas of the Sophists. So in the first phase of the pre-Socratic thought, as we saw last week, there was an emphasis on explaining the natural world. So the thinkers like Thales and Anaximander, they were trying to explain the world and identify the primary substance, the underlying reality of the world, and what is the primary substance. So they had varying ideas about the primary substance being air or water or a pyrron. So there were various opinions and views about what is the primary substance, what is the underlying reality of the world, and that that abundance of views led to skepticism because there were conflicting theories about the primary substance or the underlying nature of the reality, and that abundance led to skepticism about the possibility of certain knowledge. Now, this skepticism prompted a turn towards more accessible subjects of study, i.e., human behavior and society. So, what happened is the pre-Socratics, the Sophists shifted their attention from nature, from the study of the world, to the study of human affairs. So specifically, they turned towards studying topics such as ethics, politics, and society to understand the human behavior, to understand the politics and society, instead of speculating about the underlying reality of the world. So, Sophists represent the first comprehensive engagement with politics, ethics, and human sociability. So, as we mentioned, they shifted their focus away from the natural world to the human beings themselves, to the society and the humans. So, they engage with politics, ethics, and the society. And their approach was descriptive. They followed an empirical approach, studying actual political practices and constitutions as well as the power. So they were not prescriptive in their approach, they were not normative, rather, they followed an empirical and descriptive approach of studying the society as it is and not as it should be. So their approach was descriptive and empirical. Now, accordingly, based on that approach, they recognize the role of social conventions and customs in shaping human affairs. They believe that laws and morals and politics are based on customs and conventions of the people. They are changing, they are always based on the times and the customs. They are not fixed, they're not governed by nature, or they are not fixed. So they separated law and nature. And in line with that, there was cultural relativism, which is the idea that many political and social values are culturally determined. So some political values in one culture would not be the same as political values in another culture. So they are subject to change, they are subject to customs and conventions. So there is no ideal or normative political or social values. Just like they had the position of cultural relativism, they also had moral relativism, i.e., the laws and morality are based on convention and customs of the people rather than based on nature. So they contrasted law with the nature, suggesting that laws are man-made and subject to change. So this idea challenged the traditional view that laws were divinely ordained or based on objective principles. So according to the Sophists, the laws were created by humans to serve their interests, and these laws could be changed or manipulated according to the needs of the society, the conventions and customs. The next feature of the Sophist ideas is the human-centered philosophy. As we mentioned, they shifted their attention away from cosmological questions to the human affairs. They were interested in understanding how the individuals and societies function and how people can be persuaded. So they were less interested in the nature of the world or the underlying reality of the world, and more interested in humans and how they function and behave in a society. So just to summarize what we studied in this session, number one, sophists represent the second phase of the pre-Socratic thought. So the pre-Socratic thought has phase one and phase two. Phase one was concerned with the world, with the underlying reality and the primary building blocks of the world. The second phase is concerned with the human affairs. So there is a shift from cosmology to human behavior and human affairs. That's number one. The second point is, in this second phase, the sophists are following an empirical descriptive approach. They're trying to understand politics, power, and society as it is. So they are not prescriptive, rather, they are descriptive in their approach. The third point is that they subscribe to relativism, cultural relativism, and moral relativism, i.e., values, laws, and norms of societies are ever changing. They are based on the customs and conventions of the society, and they are subject to change. And this second phase of the pre-Socratic thought, it marked the beginning of systematic inquiry into the human nature, society, and politics, and these issues would become central in Greek philosophy and would be taken up by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle.